Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Life Steps Foundation series on ways that you can engage with your toddler. Today, we're going to be talking about reading with your toddler. So, who am I? My name is Nicole Chavez. I'm an early interventionist with Life Steps Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization that offers in-home and center-based services for infants and toddlers with delays and disabilities in California. So if your child has a delay or a disability, you might have an in-home service provider like myself, an early interventionist, come to your home and work on you with various skills, play-based training, family instruction, a variety of different things. So if your child has a delay in one of five developmental domains, cognition, speech and language, gross and fine motor, social emotional skills, and self-help skills, you might find yourself with one of us coming to your home. So ways that reading with your child can be really supportive. What can reading support in your young child? Well, for one, reading really helps you bond with your child. It's a time that you guys can spend one-on-one, talking about different things from their life, things that you see in the books that they're reading. So it can be a lot of fun to find that closeness and that joint attention. Reading also strengthens early literacy. So, exposure to words, exposure to how books work, the fact that we turn pages, we start our book on this side on the left and we start reading to the right side. That's something that starts very early in children that they start to recognize those patterns. They also start to recognize the fact that the little squiggly symbols on the page, our letters, are something that hold meaning, that convey stories, all sorts of other information. So a lot of different benefits in starting reading really early. It also can promote life skills and other developmental domains such as social emotional learning. So if you're reading a book with your child about feelings or about routines and transitions, they start to internalize that content. So they start to learn like, oh, a smiling face is a happy face. A sad face is a sad face. Different sorts of emotional learning can be found in a variety of different books, and you can kind of introduce that to them slowly and at their own pace. Early learning also helps support pretend play and listening skills. So when someone is reading to us, children will learn over time that, oh, if I stay quiet and I sit and I pay attention, I'm going to get to hear a story. I'm going to get to learn something new. And that can be really fun for kids. And it helps them build their mental stamina and other things that help them prepare themselves for kindergarten or preschool or whatever their next steps are going to be out in the world. So, how can we pick effective books that support our children's learning the best? Well, a great way to do that is to pick books with a lot of vibrancy and color. So you may have heard that your really young infant from around 0 to 3 months, 0 to 6 months, they see a lot in heavy contrast. So anything that has a really big light and dark contrast, like this book right here, Look, Look, it has a lot of black and white and some red, which is really easy for very young infants to see. Um, those books are often called board books because they have these thick board-like pages that are nice and hefty and can make it um, easier for them not to tear it apart, right? Because children are exploring the world, they're not really sure kind of how pages work, why it's important to keep a book together. So a hefty book like a board book can be really beneficial because they can chew on it, they can play with the pages, and they're not really going to do a ton of damage. Um, as your child gets older, you might start to gravitate towards books with a lot more color because now they're able to see more through the whole wavelength as opposed to just really heavy contrast. So these books like these bright baby books with the colors and the trucks and the first words and the animals can be really fun for kids because they get to see all of these different bright colors in the world. It helps their eyes adjust to getting to see a lot of different things in their lives. Another really fun thing for kids is books that have texture or interactivity. So, books that have little flaps in them that they can open and shut, and they can look at, oh, what's hiding behind here? And maybe it teaches them about animals that live in trees, for example. And you'll open a little flap and you'll see, oh, inside the tree, there's a little squirrel. So it can be really fun for kids who like to open things and are really interested in touching the pages. You can also get touch and feel books, ones that have like a little furry patch on an image of a dog. So they get to kind of feel like, oh, this is what a dog feels like. It has fur. So a lot of different ways to learn. And you'll see there's kind of a more infant book, which is one of those tactile books that has maybe something crunchy in one of the pages, or it has soft strings hanging off of another page, or I think this one even has like a little mermaid tail sticking out. So different textures, different sensations for them to be able to feel and explore. And like I mentioned in the previous slide, you can also find books that replicate the routines, the care routines that your child goes through every day. So things like going to bed or potty training can be found in a ton of different children's books. And they can help your child understand that process of getting ready for sleep. So maybe it's, oh, they talk about brushing your teeth first, or reading a story with mom and dad, or picking out your pajamas, fun things like that that children really latch on to and can get excited about. And it helps them make more sense of their world, helps them realize that, okay, these are my routines for my day. This is what I can expect. And a child that has expectations and consistency in their life is a child that can feel really regulated and comfortable and ready to explore all of the different ups and downs of the day, the emotional ups and downs, kind of bigger transitions in their lives. It can be really helpful to offer them that specific consistency. And potty training books can help your child realize that, oh, okay, it's talking about the sensations that I'm going to feel in my body. It's talking about what do we do when we feel those sensations? Where do we go? And kind of what that looks like. Helps them feel reflected. So maybe you keep a potty training book in the bathroom so that your child is exposed to it at the proper time of their day. So, how can we explore books together with children? So, does it work best to just leave books around or to focus one-on-one together? There's really a variety of ways that you can do it. So, a lot of recommendations will say keep things at their level, keep things available for them to go and explore on their own. But if you're wanting to explore books together with your child, it can be really beneficial to sit your child, your baby, on your lap with you, or you can sit side by side or across from each other and put a book in between so that you guys are looking at the same thing together and enjoying that time together. As your child is reading, you might notice some children, when they have a book like this, they're flipping through the pages, they're going really, really fast, they're not looking at anything on the page, and you're saying, well, I really want to read them this book. It can be a big impulse for a lot of people to just try to have them slow down and look at each page. But really, it's fine to let your child just explore the book at their pace. If they're flipping through a lot of pages and they're not wanting to look at those pages, that's fine. You can always try to read through them as fast as possible. Or you can wait until maybe they're a little bit more ready to focus on a specific page at once. You can talk about with them as they're speeding through that book. You can say, oh, you're really enjoying this book. Here's the beginning. Now we're at the end. So that they start to understand that there are patterns to reading. Um, and then once they get a little bit older and they start to focus in a little bit more on the pictures, then you're able to kind of read through the story with them. Or if they're not quite ready for a story age, you can talk to them about the sounds that the animals are making or the colors that you see, or you can count together. There's so many different ways to look at it. It's great to let your child's hands be the ones kind of controlling the book. So turning the pages on their own. But also, if your child is really young and isn't really grasping things yet, isn't trying to flip pages, you can flip through the pages for them and you can take the time on each page as you'd like to show them. And as long as your baby is staying engaged and focused in on what you guys are doing, you can keep going through the book. But if your baby is not seeming super interested, it's always fine to put down the book and pick it up another time, because if we try to push reading too hard, sometimes children can become a little bit averse to the things we push. I mean, think about the way that maybe you offer them broccoli and then they're like, "No, I don't want to try that ever again." So it's fine to, let them take it at their pace so that it becomes a fun and playful experience as opposed to one that is not so fun. Um, like I mentioned, if you're looking inside one of these books and you see like on this page there's three pigs, you can go, oh, look, there's three pigs. One, two, three. Or you can comment on their facial expressions. Oh, their mouths are open. And imitate it yourself so that your child realizes that even though we look nothing like these pigs, we can do very similar things because we all have mouths. So there's a lot of different ways to learn with books. You can also connect the books to your child's life. If you have a book about, well, if we use this book again, we can say, oh, look, there's a doggy in the book. We have a dog named, and you can name your dog, and you can try and help your child make mental connections that way. So, other considerations to have when you're picking out books and when you're reading them with your child, it can be really nice to pick a consistent time to read. So, some people like to find a time where your child is needing a little bit more calm time or regulation, like right around bedtime or right around nap time, reading a book or two right before so that they have that in their heads as their mental routine of what's going to happen before they go to sleep. So pick a time when works that works well for your family. Maybe that's one parent is reading while another parent is making dinner and they're helping their child wait and prepare that way. Um, Another thing that is really, really common with young children is that they will find a book that they love, 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 love to read, and they will hand it to you over and over and over and over again. And you will find yourself having memorized the full book within a couple of days, a couple of weeks, depending on the frequency that they're offering it. And you might think, oh man, I want them to try other books. I want them to read more things. That's a really good instinct to have. You can always keep a lot of extra books out, keep them up and available for your child to use. But repetition is also really good for young learners. So it comes back to that routine and consistency of knowing what to expect. So it could be a story that they know to expect, or a page that they're waiting for where the dog does something really funny. Repetition can be really good for young brains to understand that there is like consistency and repetition. And it can also it can also help them memorize that book as well. And then they feel a little bit more in charge of their reading experience because now they have that mental story that they can follow along with, even though they can't quite read the words yet. So even though the instinct might be like, oh, let's get them reading something else, if they're loving this one book, what a great way for them to be introduced to the love of reading. Another important facet is picking a time when your child is calm and alert. So maybe they're in the middle of a tantrum, maybe they're trying to pick out some clothes even though they've already gotten dressed for the day. Not really the best time to then be like, "Oh, let's switch over to this book." Because children can have a hard time switching tracks, it's like being a train. You're following along your one track and then all of a sudden somebody tries to derail you off to another one. That can be really confusing and it can be dysregulating for some children. So it can be important to find a time where your child is calm and alert and is ready to sit and read. Because it can be hard to calm young bodies in that way. So once they're already calm, that can be a really nice way to introduce them to sitting and reading together. Another fun option is finding a quiet and comfortable place. Maybe you have a cozy sensory zone or a big comfy chair or sitting together by your child's bed, something like that. It's a really great way to keep them invested for a longer period of time is to be comfortable. We all know how nice it can be to sit down with a good book in a comfy chair. Children enjoy the same things. Um, that being said, if your baby is unhappy with whatever's happening, maybe they don't want to sit still, maybe they want to go run and play with their sibling, maybe they want to go outside or throw things. If your baby's unhappy with the reading experience, stop reading. There's always time to read another time, and pushing it too hard can start to make children feel a little bit averse to the reading experience. So it's always good to just follow their natural behaviors, see what works well for them, and there's always time to pick it up later. Another important thing is if you can, if your child is enjoying it, read daily. Keeping it consistent, keeping it a part of your child's life is a great way to inspire that love of reading and keep it a part of their days. So here are a couple of little infographics and a little bit longer, chunkier text about um, those same sorts of things, those same ways you can reach your children. So point to the pictures, if they're focused in on one page with a lot of details like this one, you could maybe focus in on just one cow or on these big hippopotamuses. There's a lot of different options of what you can focus on in the story, depending on what your child has expressed interest in prior, or just depending on what you want to show them. If you're interested in having your child learn to count, that's something that you can do with a lot of pages of children's books because they're going to have multiples of the same animal on a page, and you can focus in on that. Another great way to get your child involved is, as you're reading to your child, you're doing a lot of talking. So you can ask them questions. Try to give them moments where they can use their voice and they can try to respond. Doesn't matter if they're responding accurately or even focusing on the part that you're saying. You might ask them, "Oh, what is that dog doing in the book?" And they might say, "Look, there's the sun," or point out another feature in the book, and that tells you what your child is interested in. So it's like a little window into what they're liking about the reading experience, what they're liking about the book. And then you can start to follow that a little bit. Um, Also, don't stress about reading the book word for word. Children often will, like I mentioned, will be skipping through pages pretty quickly. So you can kind of skip over pages as well. They'll be able to come back to them as they get a little bit older and start to hear the story a little bit more. You can just try to focus on conveying the important ideas in the book as opposed to every little word. And you can also make up your own stories. If the words are saying something and you want to say something else to connect it to your child's life, that's up to you. You can totally make the books creative and fun in your own way. As you read, do the same thing that you try to do as you're talking to your child. Slow your voice down, give the characters funny voices, make it fun, make it involved. Change your pitch, use your voice and hands. If you're talking about a bird, you can gesture like a bird, or an elephant, you can make your arm into the trunk. There's a lot of different options that you can do when you're reading to make it fun and make it playful and get your child involved too. So if they see you making a little hand gesture, they might try to copy as well. And that's a great way for them to practice those fine motor movements and also just gestural imitation, which is the imitating of gestures and facial expressions and all sorts of things that we do as adults to socially reference with other people and let them know that we are involved, that we are having fun, or to convey any other emotional state that we might have as well. And the last one here is just allow babies to touch the books. Just a great way for them to have a little bit more control over their reading experience. So there are some examples here that I have of children's books, but I don't have any of these physical copies of the book with me. So I'm going to have these examples here, some videos, and some things that you can do within these books. But I'm going to be reading this book, which is one of my all-time favorites, Moo Ba La 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 by Sandra Boynton. And I'll give you guys a little bit of an example of how you might read this book with your child, or if you're joining in with our circle times with my coworker Sarah, you might see her reading books the same way during those circle times. So this is Moo Ba La La La. Let me unblur my camera so that the book will stay in focus. All right, so we've got Moo Ba La La La. A cow says moo, so making that cow sound very, very silly. I might point out that the background of this page is green if the child is focused on this page. A sheep says ba. Three singing pigs say la la la. So I'm tapping along with the three pigs and the three sounds there. No, no, you say. That isn't right. These pigs say oink all day and night. How many pigs do we see? I see one, two, three. And since I'm reading with you all and you're adults, I'm saying that a little bit faster. So if I was really asking the question to a child, I would leave a pretty big pause after I asked them how many they saw so that they could really take a look and focus in on what's being said, because it can take younger brains a little more time to process what's being said. Rhinoceroses snort and snuff, and little dogs go ruff, ruff, ruff. Wow, look at how big these hippos are and how small the dogs are. So you can point out things like size and shape and form and color. Some other dogs go bow wow wow, and cats and kittens say, so here's the kittens, and there are the dogs. Quack, says the duck, and the horse says, neigh. Look, they're both talking. They have their mouths open. It's quiet now. What do you say? So you can point to your child if the book references them. You can bring the book a little more to their level. Maybe this is a book that has a mirror flap or something like that, and really show them kind of what the author is intending for them to look at. So we can look at all these different animals, and you can ask them, what animals do you see? Who's on top of those hippos? And they might mention that there's cats. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. The end. And if you're teaching your baby a little bit of sign language to help them understand how to use their hands to communicate, you could go the end and show them that way. So these three examples that we have here are some really great books. They have been used for a very, very long time. Maybe some of you read Brown Bear when you were little, like I did. So in Brown Bear, you can make animal sounds, you can describe the pictures, and after reading the book over a few times, because Brown Bear follows a pretty basic formula of naming the animal, what do you see? I see a new animal staring at me. And then you can pause after the what do you see once you've read it a few times with your child. And you can go, Brown Bear, what do you see? And if your child is ready to use those words, is at the level where they're already using some sentences, they might say, I see a, red bird looking at me. And that gives them an opportunity to be part of the book and be part of the reading experience. Similar with baby happy, baby sad, you can point out your baby's facial expressions. So the baby in the book might be making an expression. You can point out your child's expression, and you can talk about feelings and maybe why the baby is feeling happy or sad as they get a little bit older and they start to understand that a little bit more. From head to toes, they have you imitate some actions with the animals. So maybe it's like it says, I am a gorilla, I thump my chest. So you can imitate the action. And then it says, I can do it. So you can proudly say that with your child and inspire them to say that as well. And that helps them internalize a pretty positive way of self-talk, which is believing in yourself and letting yourself know that you can do it. Let's see. So all of this is done in partnership with First Five San Mateo County and Help Me Grow. First Five San Mateo County has a lot of information to support your child's experience. You are your child's first teacher. You are the expert in your child's life. So it can be helpful to have support as a teacher. Everybody knows that teachers are always needing support, and you as parents are no different. So we have some links included here, and we have some more information down here. There's a video presentation about supports and programs. But we at Life Steps Foundation, in partnership with First Five San Mateo County and Help Me Grow, we have virtual circle time groups that are offered by one of my coworkers, Sarah, for children who are 18 months to 5 years old. And those circle time groups might have an introductory song, an activity that they do, a book or two that is being read, and a little closing goodbye song. So a great way to show your child kind of a variety of different things and also let them get accustomed to the consistency of of one of those types of groups with other children without having to be physically present. We also have virtual parent-child groups for infants from birth to 18 months. And Sarah is one of the people who does those parent-child groups as well, where parents can ask questions about their child and about their child's development with regard to a variety of topics. Maybe it's play, or maybe it's speech and language, or gross motor development. So there's a lot of different things that are covered. All that being said, when you're reading with your child, be creative. You can really make this reading experience however you want it to be, and you can explore books in a lot of different ways. You can talk about the texture, the sensation, the color, the animals, the sounds, all sorts of different stuff. And you can go out and you can find books that are exciting to you as an adult that you maybe wanted to read when you were little, or that you think would be fun for your child to explore. And you can go and you can make up stories along the way. So good luck, have fun, um, and explore with your child. Enjoy these early moments of them learning how to read. Um, and thank you so much for listening.